Okay, now we get quiet. Record. All right. Well, good to see everybody. I got a blank screen. Thank you. There we go. There we go. Bob and Ace are remoting in there. So hello, Ace, and hello. Thank you for just running a little late today. It's going to get hot again. Sunday will be warm, so Frank, we've got the air unit set where it pulls in air at night. Get all the cold air in. And then it shuts off, but we can still run the air, but it doesn't pull it from the outside because so usually it keeps it. It's kind of down to a science. It's still comfortable in the late service if it stays below 85. But when it's over that, then it starts to get a little sticky in there. It doesn't get 85 in the sanctuary, but it's there. And blessings to all you who don't have air conditioning. We do have, we used to just use those little portable units. We got central AC last year. But we have one portable unit that we use in the office, but we have an extra one here, so it could be loaned out. If you need one, I'm happy for it to get used. I was going to sell them, and I thought I'll just bring it here. And we have used it with one of them in the front office area. Hey, so the good news, and again, updated news, and I need to get some more written communication out to the congregation on this. So I want to do a couple things. I know we've talked way too much probably about the organ, but so the organs, Dan is arriving this afternoon. So and Justin will be here, and they will start getting the speakers in and getting things, and we might have it by Sunday in operation. Not sure. But remember, the console, the actual organ itself, is a loaner. And that's because he has been so inundated with orders, he's trying to use ours as his template to then mass produce them. And so Justin's got a lot of custom things in the computer. So like most organists would never want this, but he's going to have it to where he can use strings, and he can make it sound like a piano, and all this stuff. But so ours is going to have some custom things with the computer, but also the keys and everything is still going to be just the way we asked for it. But that's going to be delayed, and Dan did not feel comfortable delaying us by a number of months, since he promised that he would get it in this month. So he's been on the road for 3 days. He and his son are driving all the speakers and all the hardware out. And Justin we were tracking him. No, but he was in Montana yesterday, and they've been trading off. They're driving straight through. I guess they're sleeping and driving. So they're going to be here, I guess, this afternoon, from what I understand. They probably need a shower. Probably better.
Where? Yeah.
They're from New York. Yeah, all the way to So, and then when our console gets done, he will drive it out again. So, but like I shared, we're really on the front end of this great new technology that's going to be really amazing for a lot of churches, and so we're really excited about that. So that's the update on that, because I know we want to know what the situation is. One more thing, just so you can help spread the word in case you run into this, because communication is hard. So there still is some confusion about how we're financing the organ. Okay? Because we have said you're more than welcome to make offerings, a special gift to help pay for the organ. But we have estate funds that we do not use for the normal operations of our church. That's been the policy here. I think that's usually the policy. It should be the policy, but and we use those estate gifts for special things. Putting on a new roof, or getting a new organ, or a new piece of instrument, or I don't know, sealing the part, some things that are above the usual. And we usually try and use them with things that are, bricks and mortar things that last, not just, Barbara Barron's gift was very large, over 100,000, 150,000 or so. And so we've used that for a few other things, but we knew we had that, so we would use that. So what if for everybody that gives an offering to the organ, like when we had the brunch and we raised $800 or something, that will all reduce the amount of money that we use Barbara Barron's estate gifts for. I think I've heard that there's another couple that passed away a while back, and their executor wants it to go to the organ, and so that'll even bring the amount of Barbara Barron's money that we use. But so that's why, we're doing it this way. We are not using budgeted money. We are not using budgeted money to buy the organ. We know we've been tight, although JLI, we caught up almost, which was a miracle and beautiful. Looks like August will drop down a little bit, which isn't unusual. So after a big month. But nonetheless, please, if it comes up in your coffee conversations, we shouldn't be getting a new organ because we're barely making budget or whatever, or barely making expenses. Please be ready to share. We're using estate funds and then special gifts, because there are people in the congregation who want to take ownership in the organ in that way and have done so. And so anyway, so please keep passing the word, because I keep getting people that don't understand that. And I understand that they don't understand that. It's a logical question, but we've tried to put that out there. And so we just some more of that for you. Other things, we've got our homecoming weekend, 3 weekends from now. We got this Sunday, next Sunday, and then homecoming weekend. We have our first concert, which we will have our new organ for that. And it's a renowned cellist, but there's a 6 o'clock potluck. You love potlucks. I know you do. And so when we had the thing for Harold Dahl a while back, we just I must have heard at least a dozen times, I sure wish we'd have potlucks. Well, here you go. We've got now, if you like potlucks, don't say anything. Debbie March is heading this one up, although we'll probably want and look to have other people coordinating the effort, because you always have to have somebody, a little bit of a crew to, take care of the kitchen and everything. So 6 o'clock, what is that, September 9th? The 8th, the Friday is the 8th. And then 7 o'clock concert. There will be activities for young kids during the potluck. We're hoping everybody will come in and listen to the music. And then we have a special food drive that we'll be doing for St. Vincent de Paul, which is working with the Stella Mars. I can never say the whole name, but it's the home that helps women who are in dangerous situations or abusive situations. They are really in need. We're doing a special food drive for them. And then we, of course, have the sanctuary choir will be back, and the Alleluia Ringers will be back on that Sunday. And so it will be great. The following Sunday, the 17th, our youth will be doing a presentation. They'll be doing some stuff in worship, I'm assuming, but they'll be doing instead of my class, they'll be doing a big presentation about their summer trip. So you can look forward to that. Jonathan is on the road on his way back from his family vacation, and he'll be back soon. So let's see, any other questions? Clara Barr is in the hospital, having heart issues. So you can keep her in your thoughts and prayers. That's just something for you to be aware of. Yes.
Is the only thing to donate for the fund online?
It is not only just online. You can make a check and just write in the memo, or actually better on an envelope and say Maui relief. And we encourage you to do that, because we want to get that money out. I mean, we may have already sent a check, but then we'll send another one. So, but yeah, we're working through the ELCA disaster response, which is very, very good in getting the help to where it's needed. So, yeah, please do. And if you do give online, it took me literally 30 seconds to give my special gift. But if you're not with all that, no problem. Go old school. I love old school. Write a check or cash in the envelope. That's just fine. We love it. Okay, any other things for the good of the order? Okay, we've got some interesting, we'll see how far we get. We're going to finish up the Jacob Esau deal, and we might just spend the rest of our time with that. Then we get to a tough chapter about something that happened to Leah's daughter, Dinah. So it's a really sad story, but it's one really important. So that's where we're at, and let's get at it. Let me pray. Gracious and loving God, we give thanks that we can be in your word together, and we thank you for drawing us together from our various responsibilities and lives, and that we can just take a moment to be in your word together and be united in that, and let your word work on our hearts and keep giving us faith. And so let that happen through your Holy Spirit, and we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay. Still control there. All right. And Bob and Ace, if you guys do want to say something or jump in, just do so. I've only got, for recording purposes, I don't have you guys up on my screen, so I can't see you. So, but don't hesitate, okay? Okay, here we go. We're going to pick up, I think we got into this last week, but we're going to pick up with verse 4 of chapter 33. Now, and remember that Jacob, when he goes out to meet Esau, this time he puts Joseph in the back. So we already see that Joseph is the apple of his eye. But this time Jacob is in the front. Remember before he put everybody out in front? Yes, Allie.
I was wondering, could we have some, do we have a choir?
We do. We do.
When does it meet?
It meets on Wednesdays at 7 o'clock. You interested? No, 7 p.m. Yes, 7 p.m. They don't get up that early. 7 p.m. Allie, and we would absolutely, you know, you would be absolutely welcome. So, but I know transportation is, you know, that's probably a challenge, but just let us know. Yeah, let me know. Yep. Thank you for asking. Beautiful. So Esau is there out in front. Jacob hasn't seen him in 20 years. And now Jacob goes out in front versus before he was in the back. And my question to you as we go back into this, and like I say, we read some of this last week, but we need to go back to this, is, has Jacob changed? He's got a new name now, right? He had 2 meetings. He's got a new name. He wrestled. I'm not going to let go of you until I get a blessing. And we talked last week about how Luther went right to the gospel reading last Sunday, the woman who kind of had a wrestling match with Jesus and said, I'm going to hold on for a blessing. I'll take even the crumbs. You can call me a dog if you want, you know, but I'm going to get from you the gospel. And Jesus then just says, oh, great is your faith. So he just, an amazing turn. And so Luther sees Jacob in the similar light to this woman. And so we worked that all through last week. And now let's see if Jacob has changed and if there's any hints or clues. But Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. Now, I think I mentioned this last week, something's been happening for Esau too. I mean, we're hearing the story about Jacob, but Esau goes, I'm going to kill him over a 20-year period, to running and embracing him. And they weep together. This is one of the most beautiful reconciliation moments in all of scripture, truthfully. What is the phrase, time heals all wounds or something? I don't know if that's true. I don't know that that's true, but I do know God could heal those wounds, and he did. Who are these with you, Jacob said? The children whom God has graciously given your servant. So now, what's the first word out of Jacob's mouth? Not the children and all the my wealth that I've acquired while I've been gone. No, what God has given me. So graciously given. So that's telling. He says, my good stature is a gift of God. And he says, given your servant. So now he's putting himself below Esau. Then the servants drew near, and they and their children, and bowed down. So everybody's bowing down here. Leah likewise and her children drew near and bowed down. And last, Joseph and Rachel drew near, and they bowed down. So bowing down is putting yourself below, a person, giving them reverence. It's actually, the bow down word is a word that's sometimes used to talk about worship. So we're not saying that Jacob worshiped Esau, but we are saying that he put himself below. He kind of humbled himself. He became a servant. I believe in the old royalty days, if the king or queen ever walked in the room, you were never supposed to be above them. You always had to, keep your head below. Yes, Joyce.
Is that because Esau is the firstborn?
Is it because he's respecting him out of his place of firstborn?
Why would he bow down to?
Yeah, I think he's. That's a good question.
I don't understand.
I think he's doing it. I think he's doing it not because, hey, I mean, it might be like, after all, you have the first. Yes, I think that's. Let's hold on to that, because I think that's probably where it's at. It's that, you really do have the favored position. Yeah, okay, there you go. So let's keep wondering. Yep.
Find grace in the sight of my Lord.
Yes, if I found grace in the sight of my Lord, yes. Again, it's a way, why do you mean all this company that I met? And it's to find favor and grace in your sight. So Jacob seems to be acknowledging some history here.
Yeah.
I think that would be safe to say. So then Jacob, but Esau said, I have enough. Now this is interesting. I have enough. So when they left, when Jacob left and Esau was bitter and angry because what? He didn't have enough. Now he says, I have enough. God has provided. My brother, keep what you have for yourself. And Jacob said, no, please. And then what Ali mentioned, if I have found favor in your sight, then accept my present from my hand. So Jacob desperately wants Esau to accept this present. For I have seen your face, which is like seeing the face of God, and you have accepted me. I've seen your face. It's like seeing the face of God because you've accepted me. You have not been vengeful, but you have, in essence, forgiven me. Accepted. Let's zero in on that word accepted. That's an important.
Oh, that you all accepted.
Wow, interesting. Grass sees accepted, received me. Yeah, received. Is that what yours says, Joyce? Yeah. Let me put this over here where you guys can see it. Took, sees, grass, accept, receive. You have taken me in, you took me in, you've received me. So this is more of the sense of the word, but in this context, it's like you've taken me in and you've not killed me. You've accepted me, you've received me. So that's powerful. That's really good. So as such, receive the present from my hand, for I've seen your face. So to see one's face is to be face before them. When do we talk about that in our liturgy? The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you, so that when people see you, they see God. May they see Christ in you. We are little Christ to our neighbor now. And so that's interesting, that connection to the Aaronic blessing there. All right, now, please accept my blessing. Baruch, to bless. And this is when Naaman was healed. Accept my blessing. And he urged them, and Esau took it. What got this whole problem started in the first place? Birthright and now what does he do? Wow. It could be that something has happened for Jacob. The usurper, the taker, the stealer. Yeah, please.
It's easier to give it back when you're rich.
I knew you were gonna come in with one of those. I knew it. I was waiting. No. Yeah, true enough. He's got a lot, and so does Esau. But let's see what he says here. And he took it. Doesn't he say what I have is enough?
Jacob said, I bring thee, if I have found grace in this thy sight, then receive my present at my hand. For therefore I have seen thy face, as though I had seen the face of God, and thou wast pleased with me.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. Love it. Love it. What an emotional moment, in my view. Now, when I read commentaries, some of them lean a little bit to Ross's direction. And they say it's still ambiguous whether Joseph is really sincere. He could still be protecting his own skin, he could still be.
Well, yeah, he does have this.
You mean Jacob?
I'm sorry, what did I say? Joseph, yeah, meant to say Jacob.
Jacob is coming back from his family and people and just to live the same area as Esau.
Mhm.
So doesn't.
He knows he doesn't want to have an enemy here.
Right there.
So he's not being naive. But is he converted? Is he has he had a change of heart? I'm gonna throw in my lot and say I think something's happened for him. Because he gives the blessing back. He doesn't just give him stuff. He's out in front. He puts himself at risk. He doesn't put all of his other folks at risk, and he's out in front and he gives the blessing kind of back. And yes, he's received a lot, but as Esau said, we've got enough. we don't need to be grasping anymore. I've got enough, so I'm gonna give you this huge present. You know, joyfully, freely. But it could be that he's still, or maybe he's a sainted sinner and he's both. Yeah, please.
Is he still wheeling and dealing, getting Esau to accept? Because when Esau accepts that, he's essentially saying, I forgive you, right?
Yes, is he still wheeling and dealing? And I want to say, not like he was before. But it's an open question.
But he's had that encounter with God.
He is now, don't forget, he's had two meetings. He's had a meeting which he understands to be a wrestling match with God. Absolutely. And he gets a new name.
We're no longer the trickster.
You're no longer the trickster. I'm giving you a new identity. And so is he acting out of that identity? And again, I want to say, yeah, Sharon.
Well, thinking about motivation, I'm wondering at what point Jacob, going way back to when he stole the birthright, and then he was all out for himself. And as he was increasing all of his wealth and his possessions and everything else, I wonder if we don't have any idea that he was doing that from the big get-go and say, someday I'm going to get lost if I go to Esau.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? In other
Right.
words, I think he acquired all of that. And at what point was he motivated to go and travel where he was gonna go?
right.
And at what point did he stop and think, oh, it's Esau's too?
Yeah, right. And why did he go back? What Sharon's brought up is, what was Jacob thinking way back when, he was, left, and then he started to acquire all these things, and he was so fruitful and multiplying, and his wealth was he doing it to think, oh, I'm gonna need this someday so I can, buy off my brother or whatever? We don't get an indication of that. But then when did he start thinking about that? Well, did Jacob leave because he wanted to leave?
God told him.
No.
That's right.
After.
That's right. God says you're going back now.
Yeah, and also God gave him, he told him that he was going to bless him.
Yeah.
With all of this stuff.
That's right. That's right.
So I'm thinking that.
And again, that gives more ammunition to say Jacob now finally gets it.
He was getting.
And when you get God's blessings, then what do you want to do?
You want to give it.
You want to give them back, yeah. And also notice the embrace. Before they were bracing themselves, and now they embrace each other. And I think it's powerful. Now this, I don't mean to say when is Jacob converted, that he's now no longer a practical, wise,
No.
scheming, he's still Jacob, but yet he's got a new identity. And so this is where, of course, as a Lutheran pastor, I have to jump in and say, that's just like us. We have the Christ in us and the old Adam and Eve in us, and they coexist. And we fight the fight. But now we have at least a new identity. We have Christ in us. It's not just the old and the Adam and Eve that reigns. Now we've got this other, which is exactly what Jacob has now. Yeah.
But I'm saying, read further before we talk more about his Jacob.
Let's do. And he took it. Then Esau said, let us journey on our way, and I will go ahead of you. But Jacob said to him, my Lord knows that the children are frail, and that the nursing flocks and herds are a care to me. If they are driven hard for one day, all the flocks will die. Let my Lord pass on ahead of his servant, and I will lead on slowly, at the pace of the livestock that are ahead of me, and at the pace of the children, until I come to my Lord in Seir. Okay, so Esau says, let's go together, and Jacob says, no, you go ahead, and then I'll catch up.
Why did Jacob just say, Esau, why didn't you come along slowly with us?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. So Esau said, let me leave with you some of the people who are with me. Come on, this is ruining it. Sorry, I have to take a piece of crap here. That was a bad decision. But he said, what need is there? Let me find favor in the sight of my Lord. So Esau returned that day on his way to Seir, but Jacob journeyed to Succoth, and built himself a house and made booths for his livestock. You probably want to know where that is, right? Well, Shechem is up here. That's not what I want. That's Isaac's life. Jacob returns to Canaan. Here we go. Let's try that one. There we go. So I believe this is kind of where they meet. And then so Succoth is here, and this is where Jacob is headed to Shechem, I believe. And so Esau is going to go back, and Jacob's going to go across the water. You know, it doesn't talk about it so much going across the water, but he's headed this way. So there's your geography.
Is Seir on that map?
Let's see, on the way to Seir, but Jacob journeyed to Succoth. Let's see. Seir, where is Seir?
And Jacob
Yeah,
Canaan,
okay, the same. Yeah, there may be some different ways of.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find where's Seir. I can, let's see, Seir. Is that is it SEI or SIE?
Yeah.
So it says that it's Duma. Can you see Duma on this map somewhere? Yeah. Yeah. Huh.
Is there another name?
Oh, Seir's way over here, I guess. Seir's over here. It says Duma. So in this media here, Duma is way over here to the east. Yes. Oh, is that right? So Seir and Duma, according to this article, is one and the same place mentioned in the region of Seir. So I guess Seir is a region versus. So Kathy, I'm thinking, even though it's not on this map, it's over here.
So it sounds to me like Esau thinks that Jacob is gonna follow, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
Is that right? Debbie?
Yeah, so Jacob's saying, no, you go your way and I'm gonna go this other way. Yet you're right. It's not. You get the sense, don't you, that Jacob says, hey, I'll follow you, but Jacob doesn't follow him. Is that your question?
It seems like, yeah. Like, because they didn't really agree to go different ways. I don't think.
Right?
If you look on verse 18, and since Jacob came safely to the city of Shechem, which is also on your map.
Yeah, so Shechem is definitely the other direction. Shechem is over here in the land of Canaan. This is over here. So, and if Seir is over here, or the area of Seir, Jacob says, I'll follow you, but he doesn't follow him. He goes over here.
Yeah, it says in verse 14, Jacob saying, until I come to my Lord in Seir.
He's not going.
Say to the mother, it's nice meeting you, but, I'm gonna go this way, but I'm glad we have a chance to meet. You just leave.
Well, they have this beautiful reconciliation moment. And Esau seems to wanna, let's keep it going, but Jacob is like, I'm bound for this direction, you go, you know. Interesting.
So what happened to the gift that Jacob was gonna give to Esau, all the livestock?
I'm assuming they went with Esau.
Still is a Mount Seir.
Mount,
So he's headed. And typically, that's where people in health centers would be built, be homecoming.
is where, like over here,
Mount Seir.
Mount Seir, but is it over here to the
It's to.
east of the Dead Sea?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's over here, yeah. So again, Kathy's good catch there with the geography. Esau's going back here and Jacob's headed to here. Yeah,
With the animal.
I don't, where do you, I'm not sure I get that he's kept his animals, but
So let my Lord go on ahead of his servant while I move along slowly at the pace of the ground.
with his livestock, but the gift part, I just assumed it went to Esau.
Yeah.
But- Yeah. That was my assumption, Ross, but that's a good question too.
And
So-
Jacob, I think Jacob kind of deceives them and let me stay behind with the children and the younger animals and so forth to take care of them. Like we'll be moving slowly,
Yeah,
but you move slowly in the other direction.
he moves slowly in the other direction. So Jacob is, even though they've had this beautiful reconciliation, he's still firmly rooted in reality.
Sukkot also means shelters.
What's that?
Sukkot also means shelters.
Yes, right?
And I think the Jews, on the broadcast one time or whatever, I think I heard a Messianic Jew talk about some kind of importance that Sukkot has for them.
Yeah, it does, and the Feast of Booths or Shelters is something they used to celebrate when the people of Israel wandered in the
That's
wilderness.
usually in the fall of the year.
Yeah, Ally, yeah,
Where's Rachel and Leah?
where are they?
This picture.
Oh.
They are with Jacob. They are definitely with Jacob. That's my understanding. Yeah. And Jacob came safely to the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, on his way from Padan Aram, and he camped before the city. And from the sons of Hamor, Shechem's father, he bought for 100 pieces of money. Let's see, Hebrew 100, unit of money, unknown value. The piece of land on which he had pitched his tent. There he erected an altar and called it El Israel, God of Israel is what that means. El and Elohim is God, so God of Israel. So he doesn't have a lot of land, but he's got a little bit of land, just like Abraham had a little bit of land. But anyway, he's got a foothold now in the land. Oh, yeah, please, Kathy.
The study Bible makes an interesting note. They say that, with that altar, he formally acknowledged the God of his fathers as his God also.
Say that again a little louder, Kathy.
That it says that when he built that altar, Jacob formally acknowledged the God of his fathers as his God also.
Remember back in, what's it, 25, I forget, a number of chapters back, where God says, I'm gonna do this, and Jacob says, I will worship you if. And now he doesn't. Yep. Was he told to go to Canaan?
Yeah, I think he's in the area. Yeah.
I believe that was part of the,
Maybe that's why he turned.
Yeah.
Instead of following Esau.
yeah, he wasn't just running from Esau, this is where God told him to go. But it's kind of nice to have a little separation.
Well, but
I mean, we love our family sometimes, but no.
And he, you know, they met and path was forgiven. But then he turned and leaves without saying, I'm glad that we reconciled. You have your possessions, I have mine, there's not enough room, I'm going here. I will keep in touch.
Yeah, he doesn't do what we would expect in that regard. Or maybe the narrator doesn't tell us that because that's not the key component, you know, but yeah, we want a little more dialogue there. But we do get this amazing moment, which to me is really powerful. Yeah, a little more detail. Yeah. I think it makes sense also. Esau's got, you know, Esau's got all of this. This is his family. He, you know, he doesn't want to, Jacob's got all of his family and, you know, I don't want to say two's company, three's the crowd, but you know, it's kind of like, you know, this is your place. I'm going to where God has promised me. And so he goes. Now, again, his motives are a little bit ambiguous at this point. Joyce? Yeah.
How come, Jacob went to Sodom and built their house? Then why did he go to Shechem? Those are two different places.
Jacob journeyed to Succoth and built himself a house and made booths for his livestock. Therefore, the name of that place is called Succoth. And Jacob came safely to the city of Shechem. So again, I mean, the narrator here is like, he stayed in Succoth. We don't know how long he stayed. Evidently, he stayed for a while because he built booths and shelters for his livestock. But then he eventually got to Shechem. You know, I guess the concern is not to give us how long and, you know, what he did there, but you know, that's where he's headed, because now we're going to hear this really difficult story of what happens in Shechem. So, yeah.
With flocks that size, they would have needed to keep moving just to find grass, wouldn't they?
There would have been some need that they couldn't stay for a long time, I suppose, yeah. But I mean, they could stay in an area for quite a while, depending on how much grass there.
And how bad it got to smell.
And how bad it got to smell. Yes.
I was just looking, notes in my Bible back in verse 14. When it said, until I come to my Lord in Zaire.
Yeah.
Here said, but Jacob, still the deceiver, had the intention of following Esau all the way to Seir.
There you go. So was he still being the deceiver? Was he, again?
If he had told Esau, like I said, when we reconcile, but now I'm going to hear.
I don't think he was
Then
deceiving
he would have
anyone.
been, I would have felt like he was honest, but he was still deceiving him.
Yeah,
Yeah. But he didn't.
yeah. But we don't know, Roberta's, you know, response is, we don't know he said that. We don't know whether he did or he didn't say that.
I don't think he's
Okay, yeah. I think that's the question, Ally. And I'm with you. I think well, God told me to go here. It would have been nice for him to tell Esau, but we don't know that. But he said, you know, but we do know that he said, I'll follow you to Zaire, and then he didn't go. So maybe he was now pretty smart to know, you know, let's not push this. Let's not push it. We've had this reunion, and you know what? Do we hear? Now he's being honest. It's very possible. It's very possible.
That God told him to go to these places.
God's original thing was that you're gonna settle in the land of Canaan. In Shechem, in that. What's that? Now they're in Canaan. Yeah, now they are. Yeah. Yeah, Kathy.
I'm just kind of looking more into this idea of him formally acknowledging God, like back in 32:9, with praise to God. This is, oh God of my father Abraham, God of yeah, Isaac, but it's, we always say God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but
Right,
he's praying to God as Abraham and Isaac's God, but not his.
is
And
necessary.
then I think I'm connecting that, when God wrestled with him and he says, why do you ask me my name? Like, don't you know I'm your God too?
And God is not gonna give him the name like he would later to Moses directly, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like, where's your faith, Jacob,
God.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. Love that. You know what you made me think of also is a story here with Moses, speaking of Moses. Because even though Moses was given his name in let's read this a little bit. So you keep your finger in Genesis there. So if we fast forward to Moses, chapter 33 of Exodus, verse 7. Now Moses used to take the tent and pitch it outside the camp, far from the camp, and he called it the tent of meeting. And everyone who sought the Lord would go out to the tent of the meeting, and it was outside the camp. Let's see. Whenever all the people would rise up, and each would stand at his tent door and watch Moses until he had gone out into the tent. When Moses, this is getting to, I think, to where I wanted to go. When Moses entered the tent, the pillar of cloud would descend and stand in the entrance. So we've got this glory. Oh, yeah, here we go.
Oh, when Moses asked, who should I say sent me?
No, he wants to see his glory. Okay, I think here. And the Lord said to Moses, this very thing that you have spoken, I will do, for you have found favor in my sight, and I know you by name. And Moses said, please show me your glory. I want to see your face. I want to see your glory. And God said, I will make all my goodness pass before you and will proclaim before you my name, the Lord, this is going to be the tetragrammaton, Yahweh. And I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious and show mercy on whom I will show mercy. But he said, you cannot see my face, for man shall not see me and live. The glory is too much. Okay, so, and so this is just a lovely, and the Lord said, Yahweh said, behold, there is a place by me where you shall stand on the rock. And while my glory passes by, I will put you in the cleft of the rock and will cover you with my hand until I have passed by. And then I will take away my hand and you shall see my back, but my face shall not be seen. So Moses gets God's backside. But see, so Moses no one can see God's face. So God lets him see a little of his glory. And so that Moses doesn't die. And I don't know, I think about that a little bit as when Jacob was wrestling, Kathy, he wanted to know God's name. God will give God's name, to him, but he said, Jacob has to have faith and take God as his God at this point. Yes, we do. Absolutely, Allie. Yeah. And I think that is powerful that he erects this altar. And it's like that moment, like, okay, now it's not, I'm just not tangential to the story. I'm in. Yeah. Yeah, good. Other thoughts on this? Ways to make connection. I think we have to be careful about, direct, this is the story of Israel, this is, but I think in our faith journey, we have moments like Jacob has had and where the rubber really meets the road, where we can't go back and and we can't, and what's forward is really scary. That's a faith moment. That's a rock in a hard place. Literally, and I think we have a lot of those. And so what Jacob is given is he hangs on for a blessing. And that's, I guess I've been preaching that last Sunday and we've been talking about that, but that's, I think, what a real help to us, whether it's a diagnosis or a circumstance or whatever is happening, you know, we want to know, we know God's promise, so we're going to hang on to that blessing. I think
Concentrate on God and what He wants for us.
yes. Beautiful, beautiful. Absolutely. I also think about it. I love that you said us, Ally, because I think we also need to look at this as a community. You know, I can sit and get really worried about the church. Yes.
It's the whole universe.
Yeah, yeah. And we're all in this together, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah. So when it comes to us as a community, we want to hold on to the promise as a community too, that God has promised that he's gonna, you know, stick with us and not abandon us. He's gonna, you know, get us through even when we are in a rock and a hard place. Like, man, can't go back, forward. Oh my goodness, what's gonna happen? And that, you know, I often find myself in that spot whether it's my leadership as a pastor or just my being part of the body of Christ. There's all kinds of things to worry about. And you know, it's not, I don't think God's saying, just don't worry about it, you know, be happy. Like, you know, what was that guy's song? I don't think God's saying that, but he is saying, worry, but hang on to my promise. You know, I mean, you know, and that will help you in the worries, I guess. So, yeah, anyway, that's what I do personally, my personal application of this story, and it's really helpful. So hopefully it is to you too. Okay, any other thoughts, comments? Well, I guess we need to go on and look at this tough story with Dinah. Now Dinah, the daughter of Leah, and we won't finish it probably today, but we'll get into it, whom she had borne to Jacob, went out to see the women of the land. And when Shechem, the son of Hamor, let me just see what it is in Hebrew so I can say it right. Yeah, it's actually Hamor, the Hivite, the prince of the land, saw her, he seized her and lay with her and humiliated her.
Mine seems like.
Yes. The force should be translated there. He seized her by, you know, so he seized her. So I think we call this rape. Right? Yeah. Yeah. So she's out there and now she is assaulted by Shechem. But his soul was drawn to Dinah, because that's the same word in Hebrew. It just depends on the context, how you translate it in English. And his soul was drawn to Dinah, the daughter of Jacob. He loved the young woman and spoke tenderly to her. This is sick, right? Like, does that make it okay or something? Well, of course not.
I don't know.
No, it does not make it okay.
No.
No, yeah. And it's so sad. But it is interesting that the Hebrew text tells us that, okay, yeah. That the Hebrew, that it tells us that, okay, Shechem, after violating her, like, wow, I kind of like this. And it says he loved her, so, and in Hebrew, it's not like a Greek where you have all these different kinds of words for love, so you have to go by the context. So he was really attracted to her as possible. Ahab is the word in Hebrew. So Shechem spoke to his father Hamor, saying, get this girl for my wife. So now he's abused her, and by the way, I know this is a tough thing, because I know a lot of people.
So,
You don't think it's a tough thing?
no, I don't think he should.
Oh, right, I agree. Thank you. Yes, 100% agree, Ally. I just recognize that I know that there's been a lot of people who have experienced abuse. So you hear a story like this, it can be difficult, but going through that, we're gonna delicately walk through this. But yeah, I don't think he should do it either.
I don't think he should let her be his wife.
I agree with you, Ally. Well, let's see what happens. Now Jacob heard that he had defiled his daughter Dinah. But his sons were with his livestock in the field, so Jacob held his peace until they came. So Jacob's upset, understandably, but he's gonna hold off until he gets some backup. And Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to Jacob to speak with him. So Shechem has asked Hamor to go and see if this girl can be his wife. The sons of Jacob had come in from the field as soon as they heard of it. So by the way, you're going to see Jacob disappear here. Where did he go? We're going to see. And the men were indignant and very angry because he had done an outrageous thing in Israel by lying with Jacob's daughter. For such a thing must not be done. I like that. This is not okay. And in a culture going way back, and even we see this in some, unfortunately, in some Middle Eastern countries, no big deal.
No, they get upset with the woman.
Yeah, right. Oh, what did you do? Why did you cause this? You know, and we've seen this in our own world, that women get blamed for, you know, when they are the victims sometimes. Bill?
I think what Jacob should do, bringing it up there, what would be said, maybe in our time, I have to translate and say there, go to him, say, I've got a shotgun to show and won't be missed.
Yeah. In the Appalachians, that's what happened. And as readers of this, that's what we see happen. And it kind of will. Even worse than the shotgun and the shovel, Bill. But let's keep going. But I love that in the Hebrew, because we talk about how oftentimes the Old Testament, because it's a patriarchal culture world, that women, you know, are, but here's a spot where, you know, this is not ever to be done. This is not okay. Boom. And I think we should take that. We should take note of that. Okay, so, but Hamor spoke with them saying, the soul of my son Shechem longs for your daughter. He doesn't mention, oh, by the way, I'm sorry that he abused her and violated her. Please give her to him to be his wife. Making marriages with us. Give us your daughters to us and take our daughters for yourself. So now Jacob is there with all his wealth, with all his animals, and Shechem is like, let's get the intermarrying going so that we now are connected. Okay. This is something that would go on throughout history, even to semi-modern times, where the way you make alliances is your daughter, if you're a king, your daughter gets married to that king, blah, blah, blah. You shall dwell with us and the land shall be open to you. So now whose land is this anyway? He was there before, but dwell and trade in it and get property in it. So you do this, we'll let you hang out with us. Shechem also said to her father and to her brothers, let me find favor in your eyes, and whatever you say to me, I will give. So ask more. we're gonna let you trade, we're gonna intermarry, your daughter's gonna marry my son, vice versa. You know, look at this. So this sounds to me like a bride.
Yeah.
You need to fix that one. Ask me for as great a bride price, engagement present, and gift as you will, and I will give whatever you say to me. Only give me the young woman to be my wife. So now Shechem jumps in and also said to her father and to her brothers. So he's standing there with Hazor, and now he joins. Can you imagine what the brothers and the father were thinking at this point?
So does that make it a bride price or a bride price?
Yeah, I think this, but certainly both and.
Is this really what you want?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't want to kind of gloss over anything, but I think you've got Shechem, these Canaanites who are like, hey, after all, she's just a woman, she's a piece of property, no problem, right?
Right.
The sons of Jacob answered Shechem and his father Hamor deceitfully, because he had defiled their sister Dinah. So now we got the sons of Jacob, not Jacob. Jacob appears to be out of this at this point, although he was there up here, because he had fought. They said to them, we cannot do this thing to give our sister to one who is uncircumcised, for that would be a disgrace to us. Only on this condition will we agree with you, that you will become as we are by every male among you being circumcised. Then we will give our daughters to you, and we will take your daughters to ourselves, and we will dwell with you and become one people. So it's interesting. I've read some commentators who were attracted to this one people, like this tension, like there's like being one people is a good thing. Well, no, I don't see that in the text. These are Canaanite people. They worship other gods. They have Baals. They have fertility cult gods. And there's no appeal, in my view, to them becoming one people. But anyway, we tend to read stuff in, given our concerns. And I certainly like unity, but nonetheless, not at any cost, that's for sure. So the sons are saying, okay, we'll become one people, we'll do as you say, but you have to be circumcised. But if you will not listen to us and be circumcised, then we will take our daughter and we will be gone. Their words pleased Hamor and Hamor's son Shechem. And the young man did not delay to do the thing, because he delighted in Jacob's daughter. You know, he's willing to do this little surgery. Now he was the most honored of all his father's house. So that's an interesting sentence, isn't it? He's the most honored. He's honored. So, and he's defiled, he's done this. So Hamor and his sons Shechem came to the gate of their city and spoke to the men of their city, saying, these men are at peace with us. Let them dwell in the land and trade in it. For behold, the land is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters as wives, and let us give our daughters. Only on this condition will the men agree to dwell with us and become one people, when every male among us is circumcised, as they are circumcised. Will not their livestock, their property, and all their beasts be ours? So now let's do this, because actually this is going to be a great arrangement for us. Only let us agree with them, and they will dwell with us. So we're going to get some of their blessing if we do this. And all who went out of the gate of his city listened to Hamor and his son Shechem, and every male was circumcised. All who went out of the gate of his city. So the city gate was the place where you made decisions. The city gate, that was like the courthouse. Like, a widow would be there demanding justice at the gate. On the third day, when they were sore,
Still in.
like I say, Bill, this is where it's worse than a shotgun and a shovel. Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, took their swords and came against the city while it felt secure and killed all the males. So this is retribution, right? They didn't just kill Hamor. They killed all the males. They killed Hamor and his son Shechem with the sword and took Dinah out of Shechem's house and went away. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain and plundered the city. Uh-oh. Because they had defiled their sister. So let me just make a point about the Levitical code that will come around. It's not in place yet. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. So a lot of people think that that's horrible. But what we need to understand, it was a way to prevent violence. You took my eye, I'm going to take your head. You take my head, you're going to kill my family. You kill my family, I'm going to kill your whole clan. You kill my whole clan, I'm going to kill your whole nation. You know, so this law was a way to keep the vengeance from escalating. So I am not upset at the brothers for personally, because I'm a human being, you know, for defending their sister, but they kind of go beyond. Or do they? I don't know. Maybe the sons of Jacob came to plunder the city. They took their flocks and their herds, their donkeys, and whatever else was in the city and in the field, and all their wealth, and all their little ones and their wives. They even took their kids and their wives. All that was in the houses they captured and plundered. Then Jacob, and now this is the difficult part here, said to Simeon and Levi, "You've brought trouble on me by making me stink to the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites and the Pezerites." Now, when I first read this in this cycle, I was mad at Jacob. Because, hey, this is, you know, this is your daughter, right? Yeah, this is your daughter, and she's been defiled and she's been raped and violated. You should defend her. You should have been involved in retribution. You could say, well, Jacob is being really pragmatic again. You know, he's got the bigger picture, you know. He's thinking politically, he's thinking that. And so when you think that way, I get a little frustrated with Jacob. But what made them stink? They didn't just get punished, the one that did it.
Killed them all.
They killed them all. Yeah.
And then took their
And took all their stuff.
plunder.
Yeah, exactly.
You should the impression that Hamor was willing to accept everybody, Jacob's family, and then they would overpower them.
Sure.
This.
Yeah, sure. And I certainly don't think Hamor and Shechem were like, you know, in any way good guys. No, absolutely. They were being, you know, very selfish, horrible, violent, you know, etc. But it is interesting that they took it to that point. And so now Jacob is saying, now my numbers are few, and if they gather themselves against me and attack me, I shall be destroyed, both I and my household. But they said, should he treat our sister like a prostitute? So, and I'm like, yeah. So isn't this a crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still, I think that Jacob should have been making the deal instead of the brother.
Right,
He's the dad after all.
yeah,
Brothers are very protective.
Yeah.
yeah.
But still,
Oh, yes, this is true.
A&W Luther stand down the hill, which my parents could see from our kitchen window.
Yeah.
College kids.
You know, my mom says the same thing. Said the same thing. She had 8 brothers and 7 brothers and 1 sister. So there were 9 kids and there were 2 girls and 7 boys. And she said, I'm absolutely convinced that her strength came from the fact that her brothers made her life hell. Let anybody else treat her bad and they were toast. The brothers could treat her horribly, and tease her and, yeah, right. But if you messed with sister, you were in deep trouble. So yeah, there is that's there. There's also the honor of a woman, and I think that should be defended. And but again, the retribution went so far.
Seems like a power.
Well, you could make this point too. We got to take them all out. Otherwise, if we just kill the son, then they're going to come and kill our son, and off we go. So you could make that point that they were actually being smart, and Jacob was missing the boat here. I think he does miss the boat. Maybe they all miss the boat to some degree. But anyway, it's a powerful story, and it also lays the groundwork that God's chosen people and the Canaanites are going to be flashing,
And they weren't supposed to marry Canaanite women.
That's right. Right. Yeah. Ross, and we'll quit for today.
When the Jews got back from Egypt, that's exactly what they did every year. Southern the towns that came.
So, yes. Yeah. So the book of Judges, when the people come into the land, we've got some holy war going on. And God says, wipe them all out in a couple instances. There's that part of the narrative needs exposition and study and treatment. And we should probably talk about that at some point because it's related to what happens here to some degree. The other thing that's interesting about the people coming back into the land and displacing the people is I think you can make a strong case that when you understand how Canaanite cities and kings worked, it was slavery. Basically, the king, everybody was a serf, it was a feudal system to say it as nicely as possible. Everybody served as a slave to the king, and there was child sacrificing going on. It was really horrible. And so the people come into the land, and just think, if you're one of those slaves of the Canaanite king, and here comes a group of people that were delivered from slavery in Egypt, I like the sound of that guy, and so you could make the case that there's some liberation of the land going on, but I don't think you can make that. Doesn't solve all the problems, because there are times when everybody is killed. Now, sometimes those people that were killed, there's one scholar today that's really big on saying that they were connected to the Nephilim, and that's why God did that. But again, we're trying to let God off the hook for these, and certainly we need to try and understand what's going on. And so, but maybe we can come back and talk about Joshua as we go through Genesis here. So, but yeah, so notice though, the genius of God, the Holy Spirit, or Moses, or the narrator of Genesis, it puts it out there. And what are we asking? Wait a minute, is that right? That's not right. What about, it doesn't say, it tells us what happened, and it gets us thinking about issues of justice and retribution and all of this.
Pastor, isn't it later when there are blessings being given to the different tribes, that, Simeon and Levi are, their tribes are punished for this.
Ooh, I forgot about that. The question, Kathy just mentioned, isn't it later when they start getting divvied up with land, when they come into the land, that they kind of got, the tribes are being blessed, that they got punished? Let's look that up. Let's, yeah, let's look that up for next week. We're gonna finish now, but let's explore that. Please remind me, let's talk about that when we pick up. So we're kind of at 35, but we'll pick up and finish up talking about this story.
Though about David.
Bathsheba. And God didn't like that either, did he? No. All right, God's peace, blessings. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for being in the Word with me together today.